So I'm back for a second time to revisit this Journey guitar, this overhead model. You can see back in 2012 they had a US patent, a Euro patent, Chinese patent, patents pending, and I know what it takes to get a patent. I've got a few patents myself, and I can appreciate the amount of work and research and everything that went into it. I think really it's kind of cool. There's aspects about it that are really quite unique. I am going over this whole thing stem to stern. As I mentioned in that last video, the focal point for that low E needed to be moved way beyond the confines of that bridge slot. So here's a couple of tips for the engineering team at Journey Instruments. Reprogram your CNC cutter and move it back about 1/8 of an inch. And you'll need to recalculate the trajectory of that saddle slot to allow for the fact that the G string actually goes beyond the slot where it is. So this entire slot needs to move like so. Whatever re-engineering you need to do to make that happen, it's going to make the difference from this being a novel guitar to it being a fully playable, completely tunable instrument from the first fret to the last. That's one thing. So these are the issues with the bridge. At this end, I put a compensated nut like I've done on Gibsons and Martins and Taylors. So this is the original light plastic snap together injection molded part that is used for the string guide. Well, by the time I got to the third set of strings, taking it on, taking it off, it had broken. I did glue it up, but really, I hope the engineering team is listening. This is a place where you don't want to save money. You want to spend a little bit of money. I took some 3/8 by 3/8 inch solid aluminum bar and fabricated this piece. And yeah, it was a day's work to do that. But the point is, this will obviously never break. It'll probably outlast the whole guitar. But more importantly, from a functional standpoint, the truss rod is still accessible. I can take those 3 screws out. That slips out from underneath. I can get at the truss rod to adjust it. And it is rock solid. You don't ever have to worry about it breaking. I'm about to put the 4th set of strings on now, and all of the playability and intonation factors have been dealt with. There was an issue with this fret being high. It's not that the fret wasn't seated properly. It was the lay of the neck. There was a bit of distortion. We have a 2-way truss rod, as I had mentioned. To take that cover off, I slipped a feeler gauge underneath it after pulling the screws out, and I could hear the finish sort of crack a little bit. In other words, it had never been off since the day this was manufactured. In that 2-way truss rod, what they did to compensate for the discrepancies in the fingerboard was they backed off the truss rod through the neutral zone, kept turning counterclockwise, and forced the neck into an up bow like this. It made the guitar virtually impossible to play. There's a lot of things about this guitar that are very impressive. This is the first time I've seen a convincing argument for a guitar neck that can be pulled off and on an infinite number of times. And now it lines up intonation, playability perfectly each and every time. So I did take care of this high spot, leveled, recrowned, and polished, and at the neck junction again in the other video, I corrected that as well. So I'm about to put the 4th set of strings on and tune this up for the last time, and I'm going to do my last check. Now that I've completed the job and have the 2-part cantilevered compensated bridge saddle and the cantilevered compensated nut and this new retainer bar, I'm going to put strings on. Brand new set of strings once again for the last time. I'm going to tune it up, check the calibration, I'm going to pull the neck off, and I'm going to put it back on and check it. We'll see what we got. There's my new tuner holder. Tuning this up with these new strings. Okay, let's pull the neck off. I am not detuning the guitar, so loosen this off. Release our indexing pin. Okay, it is off. One of those bridge pins fell out, so that is one thing that you'll have to watch out for, John. I would put a strip of masking tape across those pins before you pull the neck off. We don't need to do that right now because I'm just going to put the neck right back on. I'm going to go back to the tuner. There we go. That's our index. And here is our tightening mechanism. So how does that action look? Looks pretty close to what we had. Okay, here's the acid test. It's a little sharp, so let's see how quick it takes to retune. These are brand new strings. Oh, that was the one the pin came out. And this is the acid test. That's not the intonation, that's the string stretching. These are brand new strings, just put them on. Okay, I'm a believer. It is possible to regulate these guitars so that they're stable. Oh, by the way, I have nothing to do with Journey guitars. This is not an advertisement. Far from it. I was quite critical in some of my assessment, and rightfully so. In summary, the calibration at the bridge, the calibration at the nut, and a much more stable string guide, and all of the fret leveling, recrowning, and dressing has turned this guitar from a novelty item to a fully playable guitar.